My friends, welcome to this episode of the Outdoor Gear Review. Guess what? It's been raining, and more rain is on the way. In fact, later on this afternoon, it might get stormy. I really shouldn't even say that because I'm just jinxing myself, but without a doubt, it is going to rain. And because it's going to rain, I figured let's come out with this Pomoly tent and let's do a hot tent adventure together. Normally, folks, I don't recommend pushing tent stakes in with your shoes, but these are so sharp, you pretty much have to. The tent stakes that came with this tent are absolute garbage. I bent 2 of these already by simply pushing them into dirt, and that's ridiculous. Look at that tent stake, it's bent. And all I did was push this into dirt. Remember when I said that it was going to rain? Well, guess what? It's raining right now. It's light, but it's coming down. So I need to hurry. Oh, man. God, those tent stakes suck. It's almost enough to, like, piss you off. They're just garbage. Whew. Just in the nick of time, everyone. So it's starting to rain right now. Actually, it's more of a mist. The sun's partially out. I'm sure there's a rainbow around here somewhere. Since I've basically got this set up, I'm going to make some refinements to this. Later on tonight, it's going to get windy. So I'm going to guy this thing out. I have to admit, I am frustrated with these tent stakes. They are just, again, complete garbage. Look at that. Also, they're super short, so if the ground's not really hard, they really don't work that well. With the storm that's coming in, everyone, it is going to begin as rain and possibly end as snow. The high today is like 45 degrees. The low is like 27. So later on this afternoon, the winds are going to pick up. It's going to rain, maybe storm. It's going to get windy and colder. And that will be an excellent test for this tent. Also, it will be a good test for the stove that I'm using for this trip. I used this one time last year, just one time before it got too warm. If you're thinking that it's the one TOGR stove, you would be correct. I'm almost done setting everything up, folks. I'm moving to the table now, and once I have that set up, we'll move to the stove, and then we'll cut some firewood. With this stove, I mentioned before that I've used it one time, and that was early this spring. So far, I do like it pretty good. What I don't like are the legs. They are very wobbly. They don't really lock into place. So if the ground's not 100% level, you have a tendency to push this thing over. You can see how that leg there, it doesn't lock. So if you push hard enough, it'll fall over, just like that. Out of pure safety, I'd like to see these legs lock into place. So this is my setup so far. I have my cot, a wool blanket, then I have my sleeping bag roll. I have a table for cooking and whatnot. I can move it outside if I need to. I have the Untitled stove, all ready to rock and roll. I have the green tarp, which has been treated with a bug repellent, so no bugs to worry about. While it's a little bit cold for bugs, they're still out here. There's still ticks and spiders. All it takes is to warm this up a little bit and the whole place would be crawling. That's why I use that green tarp. That's why I treat it with permethrin. Originally, I was going to saw everything up by hand, but since it's been raining, more rain is on the way, I think I better hurry. I better not waste too much time. As it is, everything's damp, but it's not soaking wet. It won't take long for everything here to be sopping wet and unburnable. So let's go ahead, use the chainsaw. Speaking of which, DeWalt, battery powered. It's a great product. Okay. It takes a lot of firewood to keep a hot tent warm all night. And that really is the worst part to a hot tent. That's quite a bit of firewood there. Definitely enough to get me through the night. Excellent axe, by the way. This is from a company called Prandy. This is their German axe. I reviewed this a long time ago. Still use it. Not very expensive. Insanely sharp. Let me say that again. It is insanely sharp. Cheers, my friends, cheers. Coffee time. That was cowboy coffee made the old-fashioned way. Smooth, very smooth. Also, extremely hot. Let's take a second here and let's talk about the weather real quick, because I've been busy. I haven't had time really to check the weather until now. So, let's see what's going on. There's a wind advisory in place, and there's also a hazardous weather outlook. Southwest winds 10 to 20 with gusts up to 50 miles an hour. Holy crap, 50 miles an hour? Because of the winds, I will reinforce the stakeout points here. As far as the hazardous weather outlook, in addition, damaging winds can occur with a line of severe thunderstorms. Severe thunderstorms may be possible this afternoon. Wow. The storms that are heading this way have killed over 100 people already. There was tornadoes in Kentucky, Missouri, Arkansas, Tennessee, and so on. Over 100 dead. Wow. I will be honest, I did not plan to go camping in something like that. I knew it was going to rain. I knew a cold front was coming through. At no point in time was the forecast for something like this. But we're out here, we're committed, we will handle it. Cheers, my friends. Cheers. It is coming down, everybody. Super windy. It is pouring out there. It's a little bit early for dinner, so I think I'm going to carve a little bit. You all may remember the bowl that I'm working on. I haven't touched this since the previous overnight adventure that I worked on it. I'm going to work on that, listen to the rain, listen to the wind, drink some coffee. When it comes to the weather that we're having this winter, it's all basically being influenced by the La Nina effect. So when you have a La Nina winter, basically it is dry and warm here in the mountains, and that is the case so far. We've had very little snow, very little cold. I think the coldest it's been is maybe like 15 degrees Fahrenheit, something like that. Not too bad. So as far as this winter goes, I really have no idea what's going to happen. I don't know if it's going to get colder. I don't know if it's going to snow. It may be one of those years where we just simply do not get that much snow, which would be a shame. I would give anything for it to cool down and for it to snow. So it's still raining, everyone. Coming down fairly good at the moment. The temperature is definitely dropping. It's getting cold. I'd say as far as the temperature goes, probably 45 degrees, something like that. Overall, it has been a good afternoon, pretty quiet. I've basically just been stuck inside of this here, not doing a whole lot, doing some woodworking, listening to the rain, to the wind. It's been very pleasant. So far, the Pomoly tent is doing very good, very sturdy. I'm impressed. It's not perfect, not by any means. The tent stakes, they're garbage. The adjusters around the body and also at the bottom, they basically come loose. So you have to constantly make adjustments to this tent. But that's a small complaint. That's something that you can easily fix. There is a little bit of leaking from the stove jack port and also from the tie-off points down at the bottom. On the inside, it leaks at those points. It's not that big of a deal, but because of that, you do get quite a bit of humidity inside of the tent. Where there's moisture, there's humidity. That's not smooth. It has got to be, I don't know, 75, 80 degrees in here at the moment. I need to turn this down. Yeah, it is nice and warm. Cheers. Finishing up the coffee. It's almost dark, so I'm going to go ahead, cook dinner. Cannot wait because dinner tonight is going to be incredible. Cast iron skillet, rice, broccoli, ribs that I've had marinating for about 24 hours now. Sweet teriyaki ribs. Oh yeah. Oh, that's hot. We got dinner done before it got dark. Ooh, yeah. Let's see how this is. So we have ribs, rice, broccoli. Looks hot. Let's go with a smaller bite, I guess. That. Incredible. Top notch. You should definitely make this. Those marinades make everything so simple, and they are really, really good. The sun goes down at 5:11, and it's 4:20 at the moment. Still raining, still super windy. Outside getting colder. Inside, incredibly warm. Without a doubt, this is a win right here. I was going to talk about living in Florida. I grew up here in the mountains, but I spent a few years down in Florida. You had people from all around the world there. So you had white people, black people, you had Cubans, Haitians, Pakistani, Indians, and so on. The one thing that we all had in common is that we were all dirt poor. I've talked about living down in Florida before. The stories that I have are simply so insane you wouldn't believe it, but they're all true. Drugs, the mafia, shooting cows, and all sorts of weird crap. I certainly don't miss living in Florida at all. Up here in the mountains, that makes more sense to me. I'm not a huge fan of heat or anything like that. What about you all? Hot or cold? What do you like? I remember specifically this one neighborhood that we lived in. And so all of us kids, we would get together, run around the neighborhood. There was somebody that lived in that neighborhood, and we're talking poor folks, really poor. But this guy had this old like F-100 truck, and on the ball hitch on the back, over that ball hitch was a baby doll's head. Even at a young age, I was creeped out. I really was. But all of us neighbor kids, we would get into all sorts of crazy stuff. For an example, there was a portion of the road that had dips on both sides. So we would go down on the bank and we started digging a tunnel basically all the way underneath the road to the other side. We never made it all the way through, but it was pretty impressive. Pretty stupid too, but hey, that's okay. I don't remember where our parents were, but obviously they were not watching us because we were able to do all sorts of really dumb. Not far from the house was a convenience store that was run by this guy named Connie. He was from Pakistan. He was always really nice to my brother and I and all the other kids in the neighborhood. He would give us like free candy and stuff like that. I remember seeing like, it was some sort of candy that had like a scorpion in it. I don't know what that was, to be honest with you. He did not give us one of those, but I remember walking in there all the time and just staring at that thing as a young kid and just like, what the hell is that? Some sort of weird candy, I don't know. I'm not even sure what part of the world it was from. Let's see if I can look that up and see what that was called. Okay, it's called scorpion candy. So it sounds like these are popular down in Mexico, New Mexico, Santa Fe, and so on. The scorpions, you can eat them, they're baked or something like that. Anyways, that's all I care to know about it. It was interesting nonetheless. Getting late into the evening. I've just been kicking back, relaxing, enjoying this warm tent. It's so incredibly nice in here, it feels great. I think we're pretty much done for the night. I don't know if it's going to snow, I don't know really how cold it's going to get. Below freezing for sure. I think I'm tired. It's been a long day. I'll bring you all back if anything interesting happens. Otherwise, I'm going to lay down, get some shut-eye. So, good night for now, folks. Good night for now. It's so warm here. I don't even need to get inside of the sleeping bag at the moment. That's perfect. It's perfect. Something about being inside of a warm tent, just listening to the rain. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. It is 7:30. It's time for the sun to come up. Whoo. Oh, man. It's a little bit cold in here. I've done a pretty good job of feeding this stove basically every hour. And that's what this stove here takes. It can hold enough firewood, really, for about an hour. So it's been about an hour and a half since the last feeding for the stove. So it's a little chilly in here. Sitting up would help quite a bit, actually. The higher up you are, the warmer you're going to be. So if you sit up, you're going to be warmer. But as you can see, the placement of my cot is different. It was initially over here, but as the night got colder, I moved it closer and closer to the stove. But it was a good night. Hard to sleep in. It was super, super windy last night. But luckily, it has calmed down. At the moment, absolutely nothing. I could tell that it's cold outside compared to what it was like yesterday. I haven't looked to see what it is, but it's below freezing, that's for sure. Let's get some water on the stove. Get that warming up right now. As far as the firewood situation goes, we have plenty here for the rest of the morning. Yeah, it looks like I gauged that pretty good. It's always one of those things where you do not want to run out of wood. Run out of wood, get cold, then what are you going to do, you know? Yeah, I just came in from outside. It's cold, frosty, sun's coming up. Yeah, it's a beautiful morning. It is. There's something about a wood stove. You have the smoke just kind of lingering across the mountain. It's nice. It's nice. Cheers. It's time for the upgrade. That's pretty good. Taster's Nasty Hazelnut is incredibly good. You can add that to just about any coffee, and it really does take it up to a 10. I give Taster's Nasty a bad rap. I really do. And honestly, it sucks. But the hazelnut version is fantastic. So if you can find it, try it. Write me an email. Let me know if you liked it or not. I think you will. I am a connoisseur of coffees and fine foods. So, as you all can tell. Moving on, let's talk about gear for a second. This tent has held up extremely well. I'm very impressed with this for the money. $250, that's what I paid for it. The tent stakes are garbage, replace those. But overall, the tent is 98% waterproof. It withstood 40-mile-an-hour wind gusts yesterday. For hot tent camping for 2 people on cots, maybe 3 people on the ground, yeah, this is nice. This is really, really nice. Having space to stand up, to move around, is really important. You could find plenty of small hot tents. And yes, they're easier to heat, but they're a pain to move around in. So there's always a trade-off. Personally, I'd rather have space. I'm never going to go hiking or backpacking with a hot tent. It's just too much weight. If there was a couple feet of snow on the ground and I had a sled, that would change things. But in the end, everyone, when it comes to a hot tent adventure, weight doesn't really matter because you're moving it from your vehicle, from your house or whatever, and setting it up. As far as the Untitled stove goes, there's a few things that really drive me nuts, right? The legs, they don't lock into place. They're very flimsy. The stove will rock back and forth rather easily. When it comes to all of the latches, the adjusters, they're extremely short and they have these little key rings attached to them. Using this stove, you will burn your hands on it, and there's nothing you can do other than wearing some sort of very thick fireproof gloves. That is really frustrating to me. So it's like you have this little keychain you're supposed to stick your finger in and open it up, but like the lever is so short, you open it up and you just burn it. So, like, I've got some pretty nasty looking burns on my hand here. I don't know if they'll come through or not, but got a blister up here. 2 nice burns over on this side. And that's me being careful, right? That really, really frustrates me. The overall performance of this stove is pretty good. The cot did great. The 3-piece Czech military sleep system did great. It, without a doubt, needs to be washed. Everything in here that's been inside of here smells like smoke. So everything needs a good washing. I need a good washing. Yeah, folks, this has been a great trip. My heart goes out to everybody who has been affected by the tornadoes that came through, like Tennessee and Kentucky and so on. I believe the death count is over 100 now, so my thoughts go to them, that's for sure. A question, everyone. Does anyone have a Kafaru teepee tent? This is $250. The Kafaru version, I want to say something that's similar to this size, is like $1,000. What's the difference between the two? Is it stronger? Better made? Is it $1,000 stronger? I don't know. I have no idea. In the future, I'd like to get my hands on one, but I don't think I could justify paying the price for it. So, yeah, I don't know. We'll think about that for a bit. Breakfast this morning is oatmeal. Oatmeal and a banana. I'll tell you what, folks, while I have breakfast and coffee, let's take a look at the trail cams that I have set up here on the property. I set up 2 the other day, so they haven't been out here very long, so who knows what's on them. If there's anything, I will show them right now. I'll leave those out. We'll see what comes walking around here at Lone Wolf Mountain. Not far from here, someone recently shot and killed a 23-point buck. How about that? 23. Well, everybody, the adventure ends here. I'm going to finish up my oatmeal, let this fire die out, and it's time to pack everything up, take it home. This has been an excellent trip. A lot of rain, a lot of wind, and I stayed warm inside of this shelter. I was also protected. It did well. This was an excellent test of both this stove and this tent. The tent I'm more impressed with. The stove, it hurt me. So, I don't know. Yeah, I'm just irritated with it, to be honest. But, yeah. If you have had a good time on this trip, hit the thumbs up because it does help the channel. Everyone, take care. Be well. Strength and honor. I'll see you next week. Bye for now. And yes, this is oatmeal that I'm drinking like it's coffee. I like my oatmeal really runny. I want to drink it, I want to get it down, I want to get it done. I don't want to sit there with some sort of like building paste, concrete Play-Doh thing. I hate thick oatmeal.
Now that I'm looking back, I can see all the signs I tried to fill in the cracks that were spread in my mind, but I was all out of hope, lost in an endless maze. The emptiness had unfolded just like a void, but so sweet, yeah, I need it from you. Got my hands all on you, sweet. Everything I want is sugar like yes, please. Love is like candy. After the way you love me, color my life up like confetti. Baby, you make me feel so lovely. I keep on running, no, I should've wanted I keep on pulling right until you're done. I can't get you off my mind. So sweet, yeah, I need it from you. Got my hands all on you, sweet. Everything I want is sugar like yes, please. Love is like candy. Sweet, yeah, I need it from you. Got my hands all on you, sweet. Everything I want is sugar like yes, please. Love is like candy. Sweet, yeah, I need it from you. Got my hands all on you, sweet. Everything I want is sugar like yes, please. Love is like candy. Sweet, yeah, I need it from you. Got my hands all on you, sweet. Everything I want is sugar like yes, please. Love is like candy. Nothing out there could ever stop me from chasing after the way you love me, keeping me up 2 cups of coffee. Baby, you make me feel so